What's up everyone, Tommy with Studio Sense here. Really happy that you took some time out of your day to stop by and check out today's video. Today we're taking a look at a brand new flanker from the hugely popular Boss Bottled line by Hugo Boss. It is Boss Bottled Parfum. Super excited to give you guys my first impressions of this new release, so that and more is coming your way, so stay tuned. Welcome back guys. Again, happy that you took some time out to check out today's video. It hardly seems that it has been a full 2 years. I don't think it's been a full actual 2 years since the release of a Hugo Boss fragrance called Boss Bottled Eau de Parfum. This was originally called Boss Bottled or Boss No. 6. Many people know it as the classic, very warm and kind of holiday ready fragrance, to be honest, because it's got a very warm kind of apple pie, apple strudel, cinnamon, nutmeg kind of appeal to it. So sounds like a great holiday fragrance, but really it is a signature scent for the ages, because one of those mid-90s fragrances that kind of captivated that particular target audience that it was made for. And so here we are in 2022. This was released in 2020, the Eau de Parfum version of the original Eau de Toilette. I personally think is an underrated gem. A lot of people think it is kind of a meh fragrance or generic or whatever. I really enjoy just how perfect this is for fall weather. Parfum version that we're going to be taking a look at today, according to the notes that are on it, sounds like it's going to be a really nice fall fragrance, but it also sounds like something that you can use as a true signature scent, as something that when people smell this fragrance, they're going to be like, oh, that reminds me of such and such, whatever your name is, because it's got some pretty heavy hitting notes and it sounds like the combination is going to be just right, at least fingers crossed. I'm hoping that's the case. But before we get into that, talk about the formula and the notes, let's take a closer look at that presentation. Boss Bottled Parfum comes in a dark brown box. The golden lettering says Boss and then Hugo Boss, Bottled and then Parfum. It is a 100 ml bottle, 3.3 fluid ounces. Again, the concentration is Parfum. The sides of the box contain no information. The very back of the box has the notes listing. It also includes the ingredients listing and the address listing below the notes. On the very bottom of the box is a QR code along with the UPC and some other various stickers and the batch code of 2140. On the very top of the box is embossed, pun intended, Boss Hugo Boss. Inside the box we have the typical Boss Bottled bottle, but this time it is darker and richer looking than any of the other previous bottles. On top of the lid it says Boss Hugo Boss. The lid itself has a dark brown metallic finish. It's almost a bronze look and it goes really well with the bottle itself as a contrast. On the bottom of the bottle is an adhesive sticker with 2140 as the batch code and some additional information. When you look at the graphic of this, which it is kind of a computer generated graphic, it's not an actual photograph in most cases, it does look very chocolatey brown and very rich, silky, metallic looking, but the bottle itself, it doesn't really mimic the metallic look the way that it is in the graphic. Okay, so you guys got to see this. For those of you that didn't see the video where I previously mentioned this, I don't hold this up because my camera doesn't know which one to focus on, so I'll leave the graphic up here to do its thing so you can see what the bottle looks like. Personally, as you're looking at the graphic, you can kind of see that it doesn't necessarily look like the actual real life bottle. Of course, you know, it's like the hamburger not looking like the hamburger at the fast food place, you know, on the actual menu. The photograph was always so much better than the actual sandwich. Sometimes the case with presentation, although I do really like this Boss Bottled bottle overall. It's got kind of a more ritzy or posh aesthetic to it overall. But again, you might be a little bit confused when you first see it because it doesn't look exactly like the generated graphic, but it's still what we expect. It's still very pleasant to look at. It is a Boss Bottled bottle. So let's dive right into the fragrance itself because we're all interested in knowing what the fragrance smells like. Before we break down the smell though, what about the notes? What is in Boss Bottled Parfum? Boss Bottled Parfum features top notes of tangy mandarin, it also has spicy incense oils, which lead into a sublime heart note of iris and fig tree root accord. A warm base note of cedarwood essence and leather accord completes the fragrance with a woody elegance. So we've got a top of mandarin and incense, we've got a heart of iris and fig, and then a base of cedarwood and of course leather, which seems to be the primary focus of the fragrance according to the write-up and according to what you see visually. So let's go ahead and smell the fragrance and get into testing out what it actually smells like, because I'm really curious about this one. Okay, so first of all, for all of you out there that were expecting something similar to previous iterations or versions of Boss Bottled, you might be disappointed. There's kind of a warmness about it, a kind of a lightly fizzy, effervescent quality about it, kind of a sparkly feel to it that is very reminiscent of the Boss Bottled Eau de Parfum version. But other than that, there's really nothing about this smell to relate it to the original Boss Bottled or the Boss Bottled Intense Eau de Parfum or Eau de Toilette, either one. This might be encouraging to those of you that haven't really been impressed by those releases, but it will be discouraging to many of you who like those releases and want something a bit more relatable, a bit more familiar to that DNA. This is very different. In some ways, I'm pleasantly surprised by this. I'll also make this blanket statement. It is not a beast of a fragrance. There is a bit of a subtlety here that's built in on purpose to this fragrance, because it is a overall leather oriented fragrance. A little bit of dark incense oils along with woods here, but primarily your focus is on leather. The more that I smell this, and especially on skin, it's a very pleasant fragrance. But again, nothing really to relate it to the Boss Bottled family. It kind of is a standalone. Now, I've noticed that a lot of fragrance houses are kind of turning inward instead of turning outward in terms of creativity, instead of creating, like a new pillar fragrance. What's next in the line? Can we do an eau de parfum? Can we do a parfum or le parfum? Hugo Boss is following that trend, but I did expect it to be a bit more similar. What an elegant, warm piece of work this fragrance is. I am very impressed. I do feel like, though, that this fragrance is going to cause some division, right? People don't expect elegance out of Hugo Boss. They expect uniformity. They expect, utilitarian kind of fragrance that's going to be just a good masculine something to throw on and go. But this one, it's got a bit of depth to it. It's got a bit of intelligence to the overall. Now, Annick Menardo and I think Susie Laheli, Annick Menardo did the Boss Bottled Eau de Parfum. The feminine touch in this fragrance is obvious because it's got this subtlety about it, but it's still overtly masculine. Do you recall the scent Le Parfum that was recently released by Hugo Boss? The scent Le Parfum had this really nice iris note, but it kind of faded over time, but it was still very visible olfactively in the fragrance. Well, the iris in the heart of this doesn't actually come out until about 15-20 minutes into the fragrance, and then you get this nice, lightly powdery, but very subtle iris. The iris itself, while it doesn't necessarily exit stage left, it does move aside and make room for a very warm, a very resinous, a very kind of ambery leather in the base. And that's where it resides. So it starts out with this nice, again, kind of lightly tangy mandarin orange, but immediately enveloping the orange are these very warm, incensey kind of vibe. The oils themselves, it's not quite resinous yet, but those resins come into play in the heart of the fragrance. That's where you get that lightly powdery iris note. The iris, again, begins to recede along with a little bit of that sweetness that you get in the open. It moves really into masculine territory right away with that woody kind of lightly rough resinous leather, the ambery woody leather that it finally sits on, and that's again where it stays. And I think that this might even turn out to be a subtle beast in terms of longevity. A parfum is supposed to sit close to the skin. That's what it's made for. The concentration of oils are heavier, right? So it lays longer on the skin, doesn't necessarily project as much. This is a good medium kind of projection, I'll say. It's got a very seductive quality about it. So while this has definitely got the earmarks of a definitively masculine signature scent, it also has capabilities for date night and for a sexy date night fragrance. So it's going to meet both of those needs. It's definitely going to be great in fall weather and cooler weather, but it's definitely something that you can also wear in summer, but the cooler nights of summer, you know, with these kind of notes, with that leather accord, it's not going to be a high heat kind of fragrance. You can definitely wear it in warm weather. Just be careful, because even though it's a subtle fragrance, it can still tend to be cloying with that higher concentration of oils. Overall, I'm very impressed with this. I'm slightly disappointed that it isn't quite as familial, you know, as the other flankers, but they're kind of going in a new direction with the Parfum version. If you're looking for something that's similar to previous Boss bottled releases, you will be disappointed, because it's definitely something new. Something more akin to the Le Parfum version of the scent that was recently released, which I really like. It's kind of like a more subtle but slightly darker version of that, less playful version, a little bit more mature, a little bit more serious version. This is on sale right now at most department stores. You can get it at Macy's, a 3.3 fluid ounce or 100 ml bottle for about 113 bucks. And then the price goes down. You can get it in a 50 ml bottle, or if you want to go full Boss, you can get it in a 200 ml bottle. It is a really solid fragrance so far in my experience. But again, I'm lacking that full on, you know, performance experience that I'll give you guys in a full rundown of the fragrance, a full-on review in the near future. So be on the lookout for that. But right now, I would say, for the reasons that I've mentioned already, this is going to be something that is going to be quite divisive. It's going to galvanize. Some people are going to be on this side of the fence saying, this is nothing like the previous. And people over here are going to be like, well, I really like it for that reason. So it's going to be split 50-50, I think. I will say this though, if you are a lover of leather fragrances and you like resins and you like those darker, more serious, more growing or building or burgeoning fragrances that grow stronger over time, then you'll probably really like Boss Bottled Parfum. Well guys, that is it for my unboxing and first impressions of Hugo Boss Bottled Parfum. I really like it. I'm quite surprised at the end results. I was not expecting that. I wasn't expecting them to go into a divergent direction. There is some creativity here, but they have brought in a similar warmth and a similar kind of effervescent, fizzy feel that was in the Eau de Parfum. Not in previous flankers, but definitely in the Eau de Parfum. But other than that, there's really, again, nothing else to recommend it in terms of the previous Boss bottled fragrances. But that, again, that is not a negative. That is just a statement of fact. Hopefully you'll try it out and like it. Definitely try a sample first. Samples are going to be available at most department stores if they don't have a tester out there that you can give it a spray and let it sit for a while. This one is one that has to sit, get a little bit of warmth of your skin mixed with the chemical composition of your skin first before it really opens up and kind of gives you that light fig, powdery iris, darker oils, and of course leather, that resinous leather note, which is where it finally rests. But I appreciate you taking the time out to check out today's video first impressions, and as always, thank you so much for your support on my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you tomorrow.